because it will bring about decongestion in the city center.
All right, interesting views there from Kenyans regarding the rapid bus transit system that is in the works for us here in Kenya. But moving forward from that, now on to my first conversation of the afternoon. As I promised earlier, I've got Ramakrishnan Hariharan, the CEO of Generation Kenya, joining me on set right now. Welcome, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Sure, thank you too.
All right, so when we talk about Generation Kenya, just so our viewers have an understanding of what exactly it is, can you just give us a brief overview of what Generation Kenya is all about?
Correct, yeah. Generation is actually a global, one of the largest global scaling youth to employment programs. We are an employer-driven program, and what we do is we train youth, we equip them with behavior and technical skills, and simultaneously identify employers with whom we can place the youth so that employers can get their entry-level talent that they need from day one. Generation in Kenya has been around since 2015. In fact, last year we graduated our 10,000th learner, and our founding fathers are McKinsey and Company, and we are here to stay for long.
Okay, fantastic. So I do notice that this program runs across 27 counties across Kenya. And have you been able to, achieve specific milestones in these different counties? What stands out to you in some of these counties specifically when you talk about how you've been able to empower the youth?
Wonderful. So what we do actually is we do the end-to-end, right, from youth skilling to employment. So we go into these communities, we recruit them, we mobilize the youth, we screen them, we bring them into our classes. We run boot camps which last anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the type of the 5 programs that we run. And we have had major learnings and major successes. For example, we know what it takes to spread the word in the communities, whether we need to tie up with local community-based organizations or NGOs or churches or mobilizers who primarily help us to access our youth. Also, continuity in a community helps us because we have now the alumni who go back and spread the word about Generation. Additionally, by also having been in these communities, we are able to work a lot closer with the government TVET system, who help us by providing space and also assist us in mobilization. So yes, we have learned a lot of lessons, which now feeds back into how we scale the program going forward.
Okay, and what specific skills do you focus on when you're training these people to get into the world of employment?
Yeah, so today what we realize is that there are organizations out there which can train youth on the technical skills that they need to succeed in their jobs. But we go a step further. We do both the technical skills training and also what we call a soft or behavioral skills training. So what we want is we want the youth to think of their jobs not just as a job, but actually a career. And we find that there is a very direct correlation when you actually combine the soft skills to the technical skills. And essentially, this is also what employers want. Employers want their employees to deliver, but also want them to engage, to understand what it takes to build a meaningful career and hence a successful life.
Absolutely. And when we talk about unemployment rates in Kenya, we've gone from the days of when it was touted to be 40% to some statistics coming from the Kenya National Bureau recently saying now that it's about at 7.4%. And still, these are millions of Kenyans who are unemployed. So your program, of course, I'm sure is part of a whole array of things that has helped to alleviate these levels of unemployment in the country. But what more needs to be done?
I think a couple of things, right? So one, if you look at now the current institutions that are out there, what we have been able to showcase as Generation is that if we are able to build a bridge between the skills that youth want and then train them on that, then employers are more than willing to take them and employ them. And I think that's a great starting point. Secondly, we have also, by working very closely with the government, been able to demonstrate exactly the same thing. Reach out to the employers, find out what employers want, what are the specific skill sets that they're looking for. Embed those skill sets and the technical skills in your day-to-day curriculum. Make the curriculum relevant. So then when you make the curriculum relevant, then the youth are ready to go from from day one onwards. And then your university degrees become no more important. We work purely with high school graduates. We work with youth in the age group 18 to 35. So we get them employment ready in the shortest possible time so that employers are willing to hire them.
Okay, and you know, while we're on that particular topic of the skills and the training that you provide, when you talk about the employer, what have you noticed currently are the greatest skills that employers require? What sectors are looking for fresh graduates currently in the highest sense right now in Kenya?
Correct. So clearly, Kenya, there's a very growing demand of the financial services and the sales sector.
Okay.
So what we do is we provide a lot of trained youth for the insurance industry.
Okay.
We are solidly behind the Big Four agenda of the government,
Yes.
specifically where we want to achieve 100,000 jobs in apparel manufacturing. So one of our flagship program is called as the Sewing Machine Operator Program, where we actually train youth to become very quality conscious and efficient in delivering sewing machine jobs at these sectors. So clearly there is a need for both very highly skilled and technical jobs, but simultaneously there is also a need for functions like sales and marketing.
Okay, so even as we just wrap up this conversation on a lighter note, you know, when you go into a job interview, everybody has jitters, everybody's scared, and you know, what could happen? What's your top tip to ace a job interview?
The tip is very similar to what I do before coming into a show like this. Keep smiling and be confident of yourself. It's all sitting in your head.
Okay.
Just take it logically, just pause, and then you will be there.
And if you don't know the answer, just smile.
If you don't know the answer, say you're from Generation. That will guarantee you your job.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Well, that has been Ramakrishnan Hariharan. He is the CEO of Generation Kenya, and we've been talking a little bit about what they do, their programs, and how they're empowering youth and also alleviating unemployment levels in the country. Still keeping it with you know, the latest from Kenya, the government has enough headroom to cut costs, and that is of servicing its debts by increasing their maturities. Now, debt to gross domestic product stood at 56.5% as of September 2018. The Central Bank of Kenya Governor Patrick Njoroge says refinancing will help replace expensive debt with cheaper debt. Take a look.
Central Bank of Kenya predicts economic growth will hit 6.3% this year, bolstered by a vibrant agricultural sector and a dynamic service industry. Lack of financing to key areas in the private sector, such as small, medium-sized enterprises, could dampen the rather rosy outlook. Commercial banks have shied away from lending to small businesses since a law was introduced in September 2016 to cap lending rates at 4 percentage points above the central bank reference rate.
For instance, I go to borrow, I need to tell the bank or wherever I'm borrowing from what my plans are for spending this thing. So what is the project, what's the likelihood of success of the project, and what risk mitigation measures I have, all those things. That is how in the end you get a lower rate.
There are proposals around introducing risk profiling to deal with the slowing growth in the private sector that reached 2.4% last year.
These are really institutions that are small and have substantial growth potential. The question is, how can they expand their businesses? And finance is part of the answer. In a sense, in 2019, we do need to deal with this, otherwise this will be a drag on the rest of the economy.
Lower oil prices, surge in remittances, receipts from tourism and commodities such as tea and coffee, as well as increased foreign direct investment, will also contribute to the 2019 economic growth. CBK says uncertainties over the UK leaving the European Union, a potential trade war between China and the United States, could affect economic growth this year. Brenda Kirubo, KTN News.
All right, and we will be unpacking that further from you with regards to what exactly the CBK has communicated recently. And for that, I'll be joined